Good morning, fellow philosophers. How are you all doing today? Ready for another day of sobriety? I know I am. So, today I wanted to talk about a few things to help us all stay sober and stay emotionally controlled. One of those things is that it's so frequent in life that we have envy about things and we compare ourselves to others. And they say that comparison is the thief of joy, and that's definitely true. Um, so often, wherever we are, we see people that appear to be ahead of us in life, at least in certain ways. Whether it be that they have a nicer car or a nicer home, or maybe they look better, they're more pretty or more handsome. Maybe they appear to be smarter. And it's so easy to become envious in that situation and maybe feel down about oneself. But for two reasons, that shouldn't be the case. For one, those things don't really matter. The nature of a human being is not how much wealth they have. It's sort of like a hound is uh, determined in how good it is by how well it can maybe hunt, or a greyhound how fast it is, or a horse how well it races. So what makes a human being? What determines how good a human being is? Well, it's how much virtue they have and who they are on the inside. It's, are they a good human? A good human being is somebody who's kind to others, someone who has their internal state under control, someone who wants to improve themselves, someone who has courage, wisdom, someone who believes in justice, someone who has temperance, that can control themselves. That includes drugs and alcohol. An alcoholic is not being a good human being. An alcoholic is failing at that because they are unable to control themselves. A human being is only as good as how well they can reason about things and think about things. And so when you see people with a nicer car or nicer possessions, it's not that they're better than you. That stuff doesn't matter. In fact, if they value those things above the things that really matter, then they're actually being worse than you. So focus on what's inside of you, not what's external. If you have the right virtues and if you're on the right path in life and you're trying to get sober, then chances are you're actually doing better than those people are. Because so many people are incredibly wealthy, stinking rich, and famous, and yet they're totally miserable inside and failing in life. And usually that's because they think that those things are what makes them winners, but that's not what makes them winners. Diogenes was a philosopher in ancient Greece, and he lived around the time of Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great was a little bit jealous of this guy because even though Diogenes lived in a barrel and was homeless and walked around half naked most of the time, he just seemed to be the most happy guy and he was content with everything about himself. And so Alexander the Great went to Diogenes with his group of minions, and he tempted him and said to him that he would give him anything he would want. And Diogenes said all he wanted from Alexander the Great was for him to step out of the way because he was blocking his sun. And So in that moment, Diogenes was wealthier than Alexander the Great was, because Alexander the Great wanted to cripple this guy mentally and get into his head, and Diogenes wouldn't let him, and Diogenes had everything he wanted, so he was rich to him. And that's the thing, when it comes to wealth, if you have everything you desire, then you are a rich person. But the other reason that you really shouldn't look at other people with envy is because we often forget, when we see people that appear to be in front of us in life, how many people are behind us in life. How many addicts are there out there still struggling with their addictions? How many people out there aren't able to control their emotions? How many people out there have their values and their opinions wrong? So all day long they're being jerks to people and they're suffering from that. And how many people out there have had misfortunes like bad diagnoses, bad health, just terrible tragedies that have occurred to them. If you're watching this video, chances are you're actually in a pretty good place. Now, you might be suffering from addiction still, and you might be looking for resources to help prevent yourself from relapsing and to keep you sober, and you're in a good spot for that. But at least you know the direction you need to head. So many people are behind you and they're just clueless. They're walking around like a chicken with its head cut off. And so always remind yourself, when you see someone that appears ahead of you, how many people are actually behind you. That line is much longer. Far, far longer than people ahead of you. I mean, think of the people in other countries or in history. Think historically, the type of world we live in right now. You can go into a supermarket and buy food like you don't even have to hunt for it. In the past, you had to farm the land. Seasons of farming just to develop crops so that you could then grind the wheat down and create flour and bake the bread yourself. And that's if you're lucky. And today, you can walk into a public library and have shelter. Just that alone, just historically speaking, we are so far ahead of everybody. We live better than kings did 200 years ago. So always remind yourself about the past and how lucky we are and how many people are behind you. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today to help inspire you in your journey of sobriety is that if you're looking to get sober and you're on this path of Stoic philosophy and you're here watching these videos, then you know that you're on the right path and you can let yourself have courage, because when you're on the path that you're on right now, listening to this, I grant you the ability to have courage because you're doing the right things and you're seeking out the right things. And when you have courage in life, things become easier for you. Whether it's the addiction or whether it's your daily struggles in the workplace or with your family and your kids or whatever it may be, everything becomes easier if you have the courage from knowing that you're in the right path and you're trying to better yourself. People don't lose courage because things are hard on them in life. Things are hard on them in life because they lack courage. If you have courage, you can have the most difficult struggles and you will still be able to go through them like they're butter, just like a knife through butter, easily, because you have confidence in yourself and you have courage from that. You can be confident that by listening to Stoic philosophy, you you will have courage and you are doing the right thing. And things will be easier if you have confidence in yourself. But if you lack confidence, then even the easiest thing to do, like just getting out of bed in the morning, is going to be a struggle for you. So have confidence. And I know that you should have confidence and courage because you're on the right path. You're trying to get sober. And you're going to get sober. And I'm here with you. I had a nightmare last night. A recurring nightmare that I smoked weed all over again. And I have to get drug tested. Every day I have to check into an app on my phone to determine, it tells me and it determines if I have to go in for a random drug screen. And I have to do that for 10 years since my license got taken. They really put me through the ringer. I mean, I pushed the limits. I was smoking weed on YouTube. I remember I was rolling joints, making videos on YouTube, how I could roll a joint one-handed. And I don't mean to brag, but my joint rolling skills were better than my philosophy skills at that time. But I'm still working on myself and I'm switching things around now. And soon, my philosophy skills and my teaching ability to teach you philosophy will be far greater than any of that crap that I used to do. And anyway, the medical board made an example out of me, big time, especially since I sued the Attorney General and the FBI for taking away people's gun rights if they were medical marijuana patients. They didn't like that. I rocked the boat way too hard, and boy did they capsize my boat. So anyway, I'm still getting drug tested. I've been getting drug tested for 7 years, and I got 3 more to go. And I don't really mind too much because not only does it keep me straight, but I don't really fear that I'm going to use anymore. Like, it's just part of my journey. And it's interesting. You get to meet cool people at these drug testing places anyway. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I get these recurring nightmares about relapsing and smoking weed somehow. And so last night I was high in my dream. And it was this moment when I realized, oh, damn, I'm high again. This is what it feels like. At first it was like, wait, am I high right now? I think I'm high right now. And then I just felt the high come on. And it's incredible how, like, when you dream about using drugs, you actually feel the high as if you were on them. It's bizarre. So clearly the same neurotransmitters, like my cannabinoid receptors, were being activated in the dream somehow. And anyway, then I get this tremendous sensation of doom because I know that my drug test is going to be negative. You know, it's going to be positive, and I'm going to fail it, and the medical board's going to strip me of my license all over again and tell me I have to go back to rehab again. And you know, that stuff. Rehab cost me over $100,000 to maintain my license, to get it back. And I can't afford that anymore. At the time I could, but I can't anymore. They took everything I had from me. And not that I care, because what I really care about is inside of me. I'm going to live in a barrel one day and I'm going to be happy, damn it. But anyway, I had that that nightmare, and boy, like when I wake up from those nightmares, it's such a sigh of relief because I have worked so hard to stay straight and to stay sober and to fix my problems and to get my opinions right. The opinion that smoking weed is actually a dumb thing to do and it's what potheads do and stoners, and it holds you back in life. And instead of this opinion that medical marijuana is beneficial for like 99% of the population and somehow it's gonna like extend my life and it has anti-aging properties, and boy was I twisted. Speaking of aging, there's this guy called Brian Johnson on social media. He's always trying to prevent aging and slow his aging down. He's always talking about how he's like 55 years old, but biochemically speaking, he's only like 26 years old, even though he looks exactly like he's 55 years old. And he does all this stuff, to prolong his life, but you could just tell he doesn't look any different. The only difference is he rubs creams all over his face all the time, so his skin's like super smooth. Anyway, I don't mean to hate on the guy. I respect what he's trying to do, but I guarantee it that with my life of sobriety, starting from 7 years ago, I'm going to extend my life longer than he's going to extend his. Because he's now looking at like psychedelics. He did a live stream like on mushrooms. And he's where I was 7 years ago, saying that drugs can somehow prolong your life and they're good for you. And I wonder how long it's going to take him to go full circle and realize, nah, that was wrong the whole time. Boy, I'm glad it came to me early. Thank you, medical board, for, knocking some sense into me here. If I had known that I would say that in the future, 7 years ago, if you showed me this video of me saying that to my old self, my head would have exploded. There'd be brains all over the walls everywhere. I couldn't be happier. I got like 3 friends left from my old social group who all smoke weed and stuff, and if they ever saw this video, I hope they do see it. They do check it out. I hope that it makes them question themselves a little bit more. But they're not ready. They're not able to see things as clearly as I do. And that's okay. Listen, it's a free country. They can do what they want. I'm at a corner right now in Wilmington, Delaware, where every morning there's people, and they're standing here with signs asking for money, and anything helps, God helps. This one says, thank you, anything helps. So they always put anything helps. God bless, thank you. And he's clearly also a schizophrenic. You might actually see him walking behind me right now. Anyway, I feel sorry for these people, but I also don't feel sorry for them either. Because while we like to look at people at the exact moment we're seeing them and we feel sad about the situation they're in, it's only because we're closing our minds from the reality that what got them there was bad choices. Choices are what gets them there. And they're still making bad choices because everyone knows that they're standing there with these signs asking for food, but they're really using the money to buy drugs. And if you give them money, then you're enabling them. Everyone knows that, but they pretend. And anyway, they're still making the wrong choice. They're there trying to take money from hardworking people under false pretenses, pretending like they need it for food, which they don't, because homeless people can get food very easily. There's soup kitchens, etc. There's actually a soup kitchen right next to that corner. So there's no reason they need any food. And they're making the choice to continue to use. And it ain't much different from when you make the choice to continue to use. Even if it's just smoking weed at the end of the day, it's a similar choice you're making. The only difference is they're more all in on the hard drugs. And yeah, they are addicted now, so that does make it more difficult for them, but it's still a choice. And it's wrong opinions. They need so much realigning internally, in their opinions and their judgments, that it's like they would need to be in like a 6 to 12 week program every day, learning Stoic philosophy the way I'm teaching it, in a more rigorous, organized manner, to slowly change every little opinion of theirs into a different one that steers them away from addiction. And then they would have to be set up somehow so that they don't go back into the same social environment that they were in, because even then it's just too risky. They're gonna forget everything they learned over those 12 weeks, and they're gonna relapse and just go right back into their lifestyle. That's the thing I want you to also remember. When you're listening to these videos and you're getting wisdom from me, which isn't my wisdom, by the way, I don't take credit for any of this, what I'm saying. This is all me just explaining what the Stoics were saying. Anytime I say anything on these videos, unless it's like a personal story, it is the words of Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and a little bit of Man's Search for Meaning. Why am I blanking here? The guy who wrote that book. Those are the main books that I used. But mainly Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca. Those three, my words, I'm just a vessel for their words. And anyway, I lost my train of thought now because I'm trying to think of that guy's name. I want to say Milton Friedman, but that's The Economist. Anywho, I don't take credit for any of this stuff. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, when you hear this wisdom from these philosophers that I'm saying to you, I need you to remember to continue to use that wisdom and to live by that wisdom after these videos, because it's so easy to absorb it and think to yourself, wow, he's so right. And then the video turns off and you start watching TikTok or something else happens to you in life and you just totally forget it all. You can't do that. You need to apply these principles and put some active work into applying these things into your life. So today I want you to have confidence in yourself, because you're on the right track and you're trying to stay sober. And I want you to remember always that there's so many people behind you in life, and you are actually ahead of so many more people than may appear to be ahead of you right now. And continue to think about that throughout the day. Don't forget it just because the video is over. All right, I'm at work. I'm going to have a great day today, as are you. We're going to work our butts off. We're going to treat everybody kindly, and we're going to go home later, and we're going to be sober even though it's the weekend. I love you all. Peace.